Wow. Eat a booger. The open bar is back. Slick Daddy behind the wood. That's right, making them nice and stiff for you here. And I'm having dinner this evening, and I got caught in a traffic jam at Chef's trying to pick up my dinner, and I come back, and so I'm in a hurry to eat because it's going to get cold, and I got to heat it up and all this shit. And I hear something like a bag somewhere falls, and I'm like, the hell with it. I'll figure out what it is later. Something fell down, it sounded like a bag or something. I'm not going to worry about it. So I eat my dinner, and about 45 minutes later, I walk into my office, which also happens to be Toots's room, where I keep the treats on a tall, a stereo receiver. It's up in the air and about 5 feet off the ground. And somehow, magically, the treat bag fell onto the floor, and there were like about 3 O-treats left out of the entire bag, still laying on the floor. The dog had eaten the entire bag of treats, and this is like an hour after I fed the mutt a cup full of dog food. So I'm waiting for her to explode. If I could give her an Alka-Seltzer or something. She looks like she could use an Alka-Seltzer or Pepto-Bismol or something. Anyways, get a dog. Listen, if you never want to enjoy that last bite of your sandwich, buy a dog. That's what I say. So we've had 10 days of Donald Trump, a week, 2 weeks. It seems like a year already. It's been a week of chaos, lawlessness, and stupidity of epic proportions. From Elon Musk locking federal workers out of their computers to Trump blaming the Potomac plane crash on diversity DIE hiring, even though those same federal worker guidelines were also in effect, by the way, during his previous 4 years shit-stained term of fuck-ups and corruption. So, he calls a press conference and says it's because of diversity. It's because of DIE that the plane crash. And they asked him if he has any proof, and he says, common sense. So, in Trump's warped mind, the air traffic controller was probably a dwarf black woman on her period, and the helicopter pilot was no doubt a lesbian, okay? So that was the reason why all these things happen, you see. And, he shouldn't talk about being qualified to do a job when, look at some of the people that he has nominated, probably the most stupid, ignorant, corrupt grifters that's ever been. He is putting up to run some of the most important government positions in our country, right? You've got people like Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, I love Russia, and Edward Snowden was a great guy. Tulsi Gabbard to head up the intelligence agency. What could go wrong with that? And then you've got blackout Pete Hegseth to lead the Defense Department, who was his claim to fame as being a weekend Fox News anchor, so that makes him qualified to run the Defense Department, of course. And, of course, you've got Kash Patel as well, Mr. Deep State himself, Mr. Conspiracy Theorist. He called the Washington police, the D.C. police, cowards in uniform, was quoted as saying that or texting that at one point, and then claims the FBI, they plotted January 6th. He's a QAnon lunatic. Didn't he also write a children's book about the deep state and how the deep state was out to get Donald Trump? Yeah. This guy was so unqualified that even in the last Trump administration, they didn't want to give him a job as an assistant deputy of intelligence. Bolton said he was forced to hire him. So, but it's DIE that caused the plane crash. But, Donald Trump, he only hires the best and the brightest, as we know. Good Lord. I'll tell you, you couldn't hire, if you wanted to screw up America, you couldn't hire a better person than Donald Trump. Meanwhile, in other news, the only guy with any balls at CNN, Jim Acosta, quit his job rather than bend a knee to the orange Mussolini. Of course, he was always a thorn in the side of Donald Trump. Jim Acosta, he wanted to move his show to midnight on Saturdays, and he quit. So I say good for him. Good for you, Jim. Listen, man, don't worry, dude. We're on the right side of history, and I don't blame you for quitting. Fuck them. Fuck CNN. A bunch of losers. And also, by the way, I will say this to CNN. What the fuck are you thinking showing the explosion between the plane and the helicopter on a continuous loop over and over and over? I'm thinking, if you're one of the victims' families and you have to watch this, your loved one is missing, you don't know whether they're dead or alive, and you're seeing this explosion happen over and over again on television. I guess it's true what they say. If it bleeds, it leads.
They're eating the dog.
And let's talk about some of the people Diaper Donnie has fired this week. They all have one thing in common, by the way. They're all nonpartisan bureaucrats, government people that just do their jobs, investigators, and no bullshit kind of people. They're not on anybody's team. But, of course, you can't be honest, a diligent federal worker and survive during the Trump administration. You have to be crooked. You have to be on Trump's team. You have to cover for his ass, or that's the most important thing is loyalty. You don't have to really be good at your job. You just have to be up Trump's ass so far that you would need to be surgically removed. That's really the only qualification for the job. So he needed to purge all these nonpartisan bureaucrats that work for the government just for simply doing their jobs. Let's start with the members of the EPA's advisory board, whose job it was to give independent scientific guidance to the head of the EPA. They fired them in an email saying they were doing a preset or a reset, whatever the fuck that means. I'll tell you what it means. If you want to know what it means they don't want any smart professional scientist telling the emperor that he has no clothes or that, global climate change is being caused by carbon emissions. They don't want that. They don't. And besides that, they're buddies in the oil lobby. They don't like that kind of news. So they're shutting down anything that comes out and tells the truth about what's happening. This is the way dictators roll. This is how they do it in Russia. He also fired 17 independent inspector generals. They're corruption watchdogs is who they are. They're not Democrat or Republican. They're people that just do their jobs. Some of these people were even hired by Trump during his last administration. But Lord knows we can't have, watchdogs in the Trump administration. So he fired all of those people. The last time this many independent inspector generals were fired was when Reagan became president. We all know how that turned out. Trump also fired a bunch of attorneys in the Justice Department who anybody basically that had anything little or large to do with the criminal investigations like the January 6th coup attempt. And, of course, also the stolen documents that he refused to give back, even though they asked him for them nicely over and over again. And then he tried to hide them. Remember all that shit? He's basically trying to whitewash history with all that stuff. And if that wasn't enough, we're just getting started here. He also fired the top 6 people in the FBI. Now, these are nonpartisan professionals who are only doing their jobs. It's clear Trump wants, like I said, he wants to whitewash all the investigations for the shady shit that he did when he was president last time. Hey, here's some advice. Here's some free advice. Don't try to steal elections and steal top secret documents and do shady shit. Don't try to bribe countries like Ukraine. Don't try to do shit like that, and you won't get in any trouble. You see, he loved James Comey, head of the FBI, when he released all of Hillary Clinton's emails days before the election. He loved Comey when he first became president, but then when he found out Comey was investigating the Russia thing, he didn't like Comey, and he fired him. So, it's like If you're investigating my opponents, you're fine. But if you're investigating me, well, then you can't be on the team. You're a bad guy. Now, this is pretty disturbing as well. You may not have heard about this. The top bookkeeper, David Liebrick, he's the acting Treasury Secretary, just quit because Elon Musk, of all people, wanted access to the government checkbook, right? Now, this dude has been there through many administrations. He's a government employee. Again, he writes the checks, the payments that Congress authorizes. It's a nonpartisan position. He just pays the bills. And he was willing to cooperate with Musk, but he just wanted to know why they wanted access to the system, what they wanted to do with the access. And just for asking, they put him on administrative leave, just for asking the question. So it's not like he was trying to be difficult or anything. He just wanted to know what they wanted to do. And they put him on administrative leave, so he quit. Now, this is dangerous to give a loose cannon like Elon Musk the keys to our payment software that we pay our bills with. I mean, if this got into the wrong hands, it could cause a lot of fucking problems. I mean, fuck him. Who the fuck is Elon Musk to do this? To tell the Treasury Secretary that he has to give him the keys to the software, to the bookkeeping, because he wants to see who's getting paid. Now we're paying people. It's just, he cut off spending, research, cancer research, all these things, these programs. There's so much chaos going on. I mean, if you wanted to create chaos, like I said, you couldn't pick anybody better than Donald Trump. So if you like a government of chaos where you don't know, if you're going to get your check next week, or, if we're going to be at war with, the Philippines next week, then, Donald Trump is your man. I prefer a smooth running government where I don't have to deal with hearing this shit every day. I think he started the tariffs as well. So, of course, this is going to raise prices on shit. The tariffs are passed on to the manufacturers of the product. You think they're going to take the hit without passing it on to us? It's not going to happen. So the chaos has just begun. Good Lord, help us.
You're part of a league of morons.
Saw a great movie a few days back, Brothers. If you're a Coen Brothers fan, one of the Coen Brothers wrote this movie, or was one of the writers on this movie. The cast is Josh Brolin, Brandon Fraser, Pete Dinklage. Is that Dinklage? Is that how you say his name? The little dwarf guy. And Glenn Close is in this as well. She's really funny in this. And Marissa Tomei has a small part. Fucking hilarious. If you like out to lunch movies like The Big Lebowski, you like the Coen Brothers, Fargo, all that stuff, this is along those lines. It is well worth the watch. And that's all the Slick One's got for you from Typhoid Studios in South Buffalo, overlooking the telephone pole. Don't forget to tell your idiot friends that they can hit the subscribe and like button, and that they can catch me. We are streaming on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, and of course, if that confuses you, you can always go to slicktom.com and you will get a direct link to all the wonderful podcasts so you don't miss anything. All right. Until next time, remain calm, circle the wagons, live fast, die old, go Bills, and of course, weed, whiskey, and Warren Zevon. Have mercy.
Hail to the king, baby.